So, yeah. Anyway, so
you're doing laundry.
So they open Jack's suitcase and they see these individually baggies of fucking laundry detergent. And I swear the cop went, yes, because he thought it was fucking drugs. And we all started laughing because we all know what a freak Jack is. And he goes, it's fucking laundry detergent. I go, we know what the fuck it is, dude. We know it's soap, you freak. We all start laughing. And this guy thinks he's going from beat cop to detective because he made the fucking bust of the century.
He's got the mother load.
And I go, hey, douchebag, it's fucking soap. He goes, we'll see with a C. And he fucking puts in and they test it and they come back and yeah, it's soap. So we miss our next show. We missed the next show because of this. Dude, we were there for over 12 hours, man. Because the girl was puking outside her bus because she got drunk on her birthday. They took apart everything, man. And all they walked away with was a $200 pot cookie ticket that you just pay. It's just a ticket. It's not even a court thing. You just –
oh, my God.
The worst part of it was so we –
the worst?
The drive going from where we got the bus into Switzerland was so fucking rad. The bus had two like sunroofs, like you could open them up.
Oh, cool.
And they were cool. The one didn't have like you know how they have like a bubble on them?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't have it. It just had a slide window. You could crank it and it would slide back. And I would stand up and I was on the roof of the bus. Just sitting there like with my chest hanging out, just going through the Alps, man, for hours. Jack was in front videotaping me.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
dude, and he's videotaping the Alps and we're fucking – I was going to try and walk from one to the other. So I climbed out and I stood up on the bus and I went, there's no fucking way. And I got like, those movies are bullshit. Like there's no it was so fucking sketchy. The bus is going like 40 miles an hour and I was going to walk to the bubble where Jack was, but I would have died. I think I would have died. It would have been crazy. There's nothing to hold on to. So anyway, he has all this really cool, funny footage, man. When the cops first raided the bus, Jack had his camera on and he was filming it.
Oh, wow.
They took the film.
Oh, man.
They took the film of that because he was filming. He's like, what are you guys doing? Like, what the fuck is going on? And I was asleep, so I didn't see any of that. But Jack said, he goes, they came on like they were making the bust of the century, man. It was fucking crazy. So anyway, it was one of the worst tours ever, man. We got to Lyon, France, and we had to fly to a show, and because like something happened, we got stuck at the airport and our flight got delayed and we had to sleep at the fucking airport and overnight with no hotels. They have a picture of me sleeping on a park bench and they took a bunch of wine bottles and newspaper and took a picture of me. And I was totally asleep. I don't remember any of it. And we slept on park benches and then the airport opened the next morning and we flew to where we had to fly. But
oh my God,
this was the show where we were in a room and Jeff Tate's Queensryche was the room next to us. Now this is a festival you're playing, and you're playing in big tents. But all the artist catering was in the center of this big huge tent, and they just had like office dividers, man, that were like 8 feet high. And so all the bands were. So we were hanging out with Whitesnake with Doug Aldrich, who was awesome.
Cool.
And he was awesome. His wife was an Exodus fan. He goes, she's a fucking metalhead. So we signed this thing for her. And
nice.
So we were hanging out. So Queensryche was the room next to us. And I have to say, man, they were not cool to us at all. So
really,
yeah. So
I think I've heard that about Jeff Tate.
They were dicks, man. They were dicks to us that day for whatever reason. This was the Jeff Tate era.
Yeah.
So anyway, Twisted Sister played. They were fucking terrible. They weren't very good that day. They had a bad day. So we were making fun of them while we were on stage because they had already left. So no consequences. So but Queensryche hadn't gone on yet, and we were on stage, and Lee started talking shit about how much dicks Queensryche were, and made the crowd cheer like fucking crazy. And then so while they were on, we had to actually leave as soon as we were done playing. We got to see Whitesnake. So Whitesnake went on, and then Queensryche. So while we were watching Whitesnake, we took all of our food, all our catering, all our which was all just like peanuts and M&Ms and all sorts of other miscellaneous candies and shit.
Yeah.
And we threw it over the wall into Queensryche's fucking shit. We were throwing, we threw the vegetable plate and we threw it all over there. So they came in off stage and there was just shit all over their we had already left, so we didn't care.
Oh man.
Yeah, they were lame. So this whole tour was just one shit show after another, and it lasted 3 weeks, man. It was the worst tour any of us ever did. It was just if it could go wrong, it did, man. Shit was blown up. Fucking the shows were good. That was like the only upside of it is that the shows were great. It was all festivals. We played nothing but festivals.
Oh, cool.
Dude, we were in Spain. We flew to Spain, and we had these fucking badass hotels. I mean, this was one of the nicest hotels I've ever had. I had my own room.
Oh, nice.
But I put my bag in there, right? And then as soon as I put my bag in the room, I brush my teeth, I cleaned up a little bit, and then I had to go to the bus, the van to go to play a gig. And then when I came back from the hotel, as we were walking in the doors, Joey was like, our tour manager was like, "Hey man, we got to leave. You have 45 minutes." I'm like, what? You have 45 minutes. Like, why'd you even get me a fucking room, motherfucker? I remember flipping out. Look, the nicest fucking room I've ever had, ever on tour in a band, and I can't even stay. So I got up my chair, I took a shower, I messed the bed up, fucking rubbed one out, and then fucking left, man. Fuck. I was so mad. I remember being just a pouty little bitch for the rest of the fucking night. I was so mad. Fuck, man.
Oh, man.
King-size bed, fluffy as fuck. Oh, man. Wow. Yeah. Touring, dude, man. Touring has ups and downs, and the when you always look back on it, the downs are always comical. Dude,
yeah.
We were playing Slovenia, and everybody on the bus except Lee got this flu, and it was a flu of it lasted about 24 hours, and you couldn't. If you drank a bottle of water, 30 seconds later, you were puking it out.
Oh,
you couldn't eat. You couldn't drink anything. You just sat there and shook and shivered and sweat. It was the worst. Everyone got it except Lee. Everyone. I remember Jack had it. I hear Jack puking outside the bus. And I was getting up in the morning, and I was like, "Jack, you all right?" He's like, "No, dude, I don't feel good at all."
Oh.
And he's climbing back in his bunk. He's like, "Oh, I feel like shit." I go, "Oh, that's terrible." "Oh, man, feel better, buddy." And I go downstairs, and I drink a glass of orange juice, and I went, "Oh, fuck." No, I got it. And I puked.
No.
I was on stage. Dude, There was my mic stand, right?
Right.
And next to my mic stand is a garbage can. Because I was standing there, and I was just and puking into this can garbage. Dude, it was fucking brutal.
Oh my God.
Everyone got it except Lee. Maybe Gary didn't get it either, but all the tour guys got it. The sound guy got it. There was 3 bands, man. It was us, Sepultura, and somebody else. Andreas, Sepultura all got it.
Oh, geez.
They were sick as us. They were fucking puking. It was crazy.
Was this the same
like
tour?
24 hours.
Was this the
24 hours.
Same tour, or was that a different tour?
It was. Oh, there's a different tour. There's a different tour, but I was just saying that, like, you know, now that I look at the time, that was like a really rough couple days. But you know what, man? Like, you know, now that I look back on it, it was kind of funny. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, you know, some of the toughest stuff you go through gives you some of the best memories.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of questions for you.
Okay. Shoot.
All right. So now, as you explained, you know, you sang with Exodus, and then you formed Generation Kill in 2008. Yeah. You've done work with DMC, Daryl McDaniels.
Yeah, that was.
How did that happen? That sounds like a completely random collaboration.
Okay, so I lived in New York. Exodus was in San Francisco, and I had a couple friends, you know, that I grew up in New York, so sometimes I'd be at home from tour for like a month or two, right? So, or like I'd be a month. It was normally about like 4 to 5 weeks, and then you'd have to go out again. But so I decided that when I was home for those 4 or 5 weeks, I had a couple friends at the time that I was like, "Hey man, let's just get together in a rehearsal room and jam." You know what I mean? So we're like, okay. So basically we started out just doing Black Sabbath songs. We're just doing like Black Sabbath, and we did like Motor Breath by Metallica, and we did a couple other oldies but goodies, and we were just kind of like just hanging out. It was just, something to do other than just sit home, what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it escalated into writing a couple songs, and then the first record, it was we wrote a couple songs, and then I had to leave for tour. So while I was gone, the guys that I was jamming with, they kept working on stuff. You know what I mean? They would send me riffs, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is a cool riff. Let's work on that." And so basically, they would send me like an email with an MP3 file, and it would be like one riff, and then what they would do is they'd send me just a bunch of different riffs, and I would kind of like mix and match them together and go put this one with this one and see if that works out.
Okay.
And then they would, and sometimes they worked out, and sometimes they didn't, and I'd be like, that doesn't work. Just try something. Try this one, and then so while I was on the road, we're putting together these riffs. So when I came back, now we had a semblance of a handful of songs. So I wrote lyrics for them, and then next thing you know, we're jamming those along with the covers, and we're just having fun, and we're doing something cool.
Yeah.
So then we decided to record them. So we recorded them with my buddy Johnny Rod in New York, and recorded them. And like I said, the first one, Generation Kill, the Red, White, and Blood, was basically just, I was kind of like half involved. I mean, I couldn't be as involved as I was when we did the second record. So the first one was basically kind of like a demo. It was kind of like, we just to get ideas across, and just kind of like, and we played one show. I think we played like one night with a couple other bands. I don't remember. Do we? Yeah. So we played like the originals we had and a couple Sabbath songs, and we left, and a Metallica song. So it was just something to do, man, when I was home. That's all that it was,
Okay.
And so then Gary joined Slayer. So Exodus started taking doing less tours. So now I had more time at home. So basically, I took a larger interest in the Generation Kill, only because I had more time. So we could actually get into a room and cultivate what we were doing. We cultivated this record, and it was just a culmination of riffs that they had all handed me. They had like all three. Jay Velez, Jay Trenzer, and at the time our bass player was Rob Machete, and he had handed me a bunch of riffs, and I put a bunch of riffs together and made that record. Basically, I asked Zeus, who was my friend, and who did me a huge solid. We paid him. We all came up with the money of how much it cost for him to produce our record, and so we paid for the studio time. So we all pitched in and came up with some money, and basically Zeus came to my friend Johnny Rod's studios in New York, and he sat with the drummer, and we did all the drum tracks. So over a year, it took about like 6 months to a year to lay out all the songs and get them all ready. And there were so those guys didn't know what I was going to sing. Basically, when we were in a room together, I would just kind of like make up shit and blah, 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 and just kind of get melodies and stuff. Okay. And then I would go home and I'd write lyrics to my melodies, So basically, this went on for a while. So they did the drums, and then I had to go to South America for like 2 weeks. And while I was in South America, Zeus had met those guys in New York and did all the guitars and the bass. So now Zeus was home in Connecticut, and he mixed got all the drums, and they were sending me like demos, just like semblances, not finals, but
Right, yeah.
So I had a bunch of lyrics. I had like scattered ideas and stuff like that, and then I got home, and I sat alone for a couple weeks, and I wrote all the lyrics in a couple weeks, and then I went to Connecticut and stayed with Zeus and did the vocals over like a 10-day period.
Okay.
So now we had an album, and it was done, and it was cool, and I'm very proud of it, man. We're All Gonna Die is a really, to me, it's a good album because it reflects a little bit of everything that I love, man. It's got some dirt rock in it. It's got metal. It's got rock. It's got punk. It's got hardcore. It's got just everything all the music that has accompanied my life and my existence on this planet kind of came off in this record, and it just kind of like little bits and pieces. And there's a little bit of the Doors in there, and there's a little bit of Caius, and there's like it's just a big shit show of everything. Basically, I ripped off everything I ever loved and I put it on my own. But I was very proud of it, and Zeus fucking loved it and got behind it with me. And so we didn't have a record deal. We had got out of a deal from the first record with this French label that sucked. I even forget who they were. They were fucking horrible people. So I got a lawyer, and that lawyer contacted them, and we got out of the contract, and they were happy to get rid of us because they were scumbags. And then,
man.
So I started talking with Nuclear Blast personally, and me and Marcus and Yop, and we started talking, and they were reluctant to take on the project. They didn't really think it was anything that they wanted to touch, and a couple other labels told us that they didn't want anything to do with it.
Oh wow!
I think one label told me the world doesn't need this.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's what some fucking douchebag said to me. I forget what label it was. I wish I remember because I would definitely fucking call them out.
Ah, man.
Yeah, the world doesn't need this. And I wrote back, yeah, well, then go fuck yourself, you fucking loser.
Yeah. Like it needs all the Ariana Grandes in the world.
Yeah, like really, it's that bad. Fuck you, man. So,
exactly.
So me being really good, Lee Altus is one of my closest friends. So Lee decides that Heathen's going to go on tour, and he loves the Generation Kill record. He actually really loved it. He said he listened to it a lot, and he was a big fan. And
awesome.
So he decided to take us on tour. We didn't have a record contract, and we didn't even have a record out. We didn't even have anything.
Wow.
Nobody had heard. They only heard the first, the Red, White, and Blood record, which is basically a demo.
Yeah,
That's all they had. So I said, okay, we're going to go to Europe, boys, and so we got our shit together. We got enough money saved up, and everyone was able to we went to Europe for a month, and we played a bunch of shows, and at the last three shows were in Germany. And the first 2 nights in Germany, I forget the name of the towns, but wherever we were, some people from Nuclear Blast were coming to watch the show, and they were impressed enough that the owner and the CEO guy showed up to the last show we were at, and brought a record contract.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So all the money we had put up. They gave us enough money to everyone got their money back. So, everyone got everything we had invested individually. Awesome. We got all that back. And that's all I wanted. We didn't want to take more than we needed. I just wanted to pay for the production and the studio time. And that's basically what happened. So it was nice to be able to come home from tour and hand everybody back a couple grand and go, here, man, here's your money back. It was cool, because we didn't make any money on the tour.
Yeah.
But we had a blast, man. We had fun, man. Touring with Lee is always fun as shit. We shared a bus with those guys, and
that's awesome.
And David White and Heathen, or all those guys were a lot of fun, and it was it was a special tour. And I'll never forget it. It was cool. And then I moved back to New York. I go back to Exodus, and then I was in I was getting married, and I had a marriage. I had a wedding coming up, and I was going to relocate to Arizona, and I could be closer to San Francisco. And I was after Hurricane Sandy. I just kind of had enough of the winters New York had run its course with me, and I needed a change.
Yeah,
so I moved to Arizona. My wife is an identical twin, and her twin sister had moved here a year previous, and they had never been apart before, so she was alone for like a year. So I decided that it would be a nice thing to move her near her sister. So we did. We moved near her sister, and they could be together again. So that's kind of how that went. And,
they be together. You get your change.
But what fucking sucked is I moved to Arizona, and Exodus fires me. Like after I finished the record, went to New York, got married, relocated my whole life to Arizona where I don't know anyone. And then they fired me that the day I got here, like 2 days after I got here.
Jeez.
And I spent a year, just really bitter, really anger. I was just angry, and it was really tough to hold it all together. It really was. It was a tough year, and deep down inside, I knew it was just business, but it affected everything, man. It affected my friendships with Lee and Gary and Tom and Jack, and it had a lot to do with business and management, and a lot of whispering in people's ears and saying this would be better and this would be good. Look at the numbers are here and now. After I had spent 10 years bringing back a band that had just basically not done anything for 13 years previous, then I come from the ground up playing mercados and playing clubs to 10 people and fucking playing just shitholes and playing the Creepy Crawl in St. Louis and just, which is by far the worst club I've ever played in my life.
Really?
And just going through all that to be, to hand it back to Zetro, I was bitter and angry, and I spent the next year just kind of just trying to pick myself up from that. So I got I'd always had a job, even in Exodus, but it was always a part-time job. So I had a full-time job, and Generation Kill we started working on new stuff, and at my very last Exodus show, the very last show was at the Rock on the Range in Ohio. And it was the day that the Rangers pushed the Pittsburgh Penguins out of the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
And, this is around June. So during the show, Daryl McDaniels, DMC, was playing with Pop Evil. He had done some track with them. And so anyway, walking through catering, I run into Daryl. And I said, hey, man, I'm a huge fan. I'm from Astoria, and you're from Hollis. And when I was a kid, I had your mixtape. I had your tape. I had a cassette.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, man. That's awesome, man. Take a picture. Queens boy, all right, man. So he goes, dude, let's meet up later. Where are you going now? I go, I'm going to go watch the Ranger game on my bus, and then I'm going to come back to catering and eat. He goes, oh, dude, we'll come out. There's a thing later. We'll see you at the after party. And I was like, okay. I never made it to the after party. I just stayed and watched hockey and then went to bed.
Yeah.
Anyway, didn't think nothing of it. At the next morning, I'm sitting at the airport, and walking toward me is fucking Daryl by himself.
Oh, wow.
Walking toward me, sits down next to me. Yo, man, where were you last night? I was like, I watched the Rangers fucking beat Pittsburgh, and then I kind of just got sidetracked and went to bed. That's cool. We started talking, and where are you going? I go, I live in New York. Oh, me too. And then he goes, I got a band in New York, man, this cool band. And I said, Generation Kill. He goes, oh, that's cool. And I go, I have a CD. So I had my backpack, and I gave him a CD. And then he went on to his flight, and I went on to mine. And I didn't speak to him again. So the day that Exodus fired me, they fired me at 9 a.m., right?
Right.
Daryl got my number through – I forget how he got my number. Maybe he hit me up through Twitter in a private message, or Instagram or whatever it was. Somehow he got my number, so he actually calls me at 10 a.m. Now I'm reeling from the Exodus thing.
Right, yeah.
He's like, "Hey man, I want to do a song," or maybe he called me at 9 and they called me at 10. I forget. Anyway, so I was like, "Oh yeah." Daryl called me first. He called me, and then Exodus called me an hour later. I was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool, man." Yeah, I said, "You know what? I'll talk to my band and we'll start working on something, and we'll do a song." And the song ended up being Lot Lizard. So if you go on YouTube and go Fragile Mortals Lot Lizard, you'll hear the song. That was the song that we did.
She's a truck stop slut. She avoids getting busted, but she busts a lot of nuts. She got crazy skills and she's bringing in big bills. But the way she is living, it is gonna get a kill. She had a run-in with some psycho trick. He tried to slit her throat, she cut off his. Did you hear what happened in the lot last night? When it all goes wrong,
it was about a truck stop hooker. And I had come across a truck stop hooker moving from New York to Arizona. I had never experienced it before. All the years of truck stops and touring and all that, I had never noticed what a lot lizard was until this one night. Me and my wife were in the truck, and this lady come and she goes, "Hey, honey," and then she looked over and saw my wife and went, "Never mind," and then fucking walked away. And then we watched her walk to another truck because we were just getting gas, and then I go, "Oh, that's a lot lizard." I'd never seen one before. You know what I mean? So I remember taking my phone out in the memos, truck stop hooker, lot lizard, lyrics. You know what I mean? And I just put it in my phone. So when Daryl called me, I was like, "Oh yeah, I got an idea about this truck stop hooker." So that was all it was. I just told him truck stop hooker. That's all I said.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything. I didn't show him any of my words or my lyrics. And then I flew to New York. I talked to my guitar player. My two guitar players came up with the music, right?
Okay.
They sent me the riffs. I said, "These two riffs will work together. Perfect. Let's do that." I wrote my lyrics. And then I wrote Daryl. I said, "Here's the music. Your lyrics start at like the 115 mark, and they go to 140, and then like 210 to 240, and like just kind of did that." And I go, "You write what you're going to write, and I'll write what I'm going to write, and I'll see you in New York." And I go to New York, and I meet him in the studio. The music is done, so everybody's there, and we're recording the song. We did the drums, and we're recording the song from scratch. And I go in, and I do my part, and Daryl did his. And we had never heard each other's call and answer to the way this was going to lay out.
Oh, wow.
And, it was a little bit of magic, man. It was kind of cool.
That's
and it was kind of metal, and it was kind of blues. I don't know if it was metal, but it was definitely rock, and it was just really a rock song. And it was just kind of weird and trippy. And then we got Bumblefoot, this virtuoso guitar player.
Yeah, I love Bumblefoot.
To play on it. So he plays on it, and then that was it, man. So we did a bunch of songs with him, and it's sitting on a shelf right now. Not doing anything.
Oh man! Well, believe me, I'll be throwing it on here a little bit, then get a few more people listening to it at least.
Yeah. So anyway,
so what are you doing now? What do you I know you had Scott Reeder from Caius in and playing some bass on some stuff for you. What's that all about?
He did a bunch of. I did a bunch of. I'm making like a solo record. So
okay.
I'm making music. So Generation Kill's working on a record. We've been working on it a while. We don't live near each other, so it's been a little more difficult. So we're just taking our time with it. And when it's done, it's going to be awesome. We are. I live in Arizona. I built a studio in my house.
Oh, nice.
And I'm able to record at home, so people send me riffs, and I can do all my vocals and stuff here by myself, and I don't need anyone to do that. And then so I'm working on a solo record, which is just me, and like I worked with different guitar players. I worked with John Corsiari in New York. I worked with this guy Chuck in Tampa. I got like just a bunch of different people to play and work on songs with. And then my friend Craig Cifola is a drummer and like he's just kind of he's been my friend for a long time. We've been in bands before together and stuff, and just always made music and always made stuff together. Did like a TV show together at one point, and on cable access. And
cool.
Anyway, we been friends for 25 plus years, and so we're making a record of all these weird cover songs. We did Jungle Love by The Time, and we got Tom Hunting, the drummer from Exodus, to sing it.
Oh, wow.
So basically, it's a mixture of weird songs that you wouldn't cover, and just weird songs. We decided to just, all right, we're going to make this heavy and do this. So that's kind of what we did.
That's the kind of stuff I love.
Yeah, and then I'm making a bunch of songs that my parents love. We're doing a bunch of songs for our parents. Like, we're covering like their favorite bands. Like, we're picking the songs, but we're doing like. So my dad's a huge Tom Petty fan, so I did "Refugee" by Tom Petty. And we made it real heavy, and so we're just doing like I did "Simple Man" for my mom.
Oh,
just
Skinner.
Yeah. So we're just doing stuff that our parents like in our parents' era. And I'm going to do a song for my uncle. I'm going to try to take one of his songs and make it a metal song, and I just a lot of cool little stuff that I'm trying to do, and just stay
Whiskey
busy.
Before Breakfast songs.
Yeah, like one of them. Yeah,
nice.
So, doing that, and then I restore vintage air-cooled Volkswagens at a place in Arizona.
Oh, nice.
Called Doug's Bugs, and that's what I do. I'm restoring like I do like buses and Bugs and all the air-cooled stuff. Actually, if you see that's my Corvette, I'm doing a Corvette for myself.
Oh, nice.
So. But that's my project, my personal project. And so I work on cars a lot.
And you work on music.
I work on music, and I read a lot, and I smoke the occasional cigar, and I drink lots of coffee.
Hey.
I have two Persian cats that I have. I have this one right here. This is Muppet sitting in the sun watching that going out the window. Hi, Muppet.
Oh, wow.
There's a little token right there, the little black one in the corner. So, I rode my motorcycle too. I got up at like 5 a.m. and I jumped on my bike and I rode to the Grand Canyon. And
How long of a ride is that?
It took me 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
So I rode to the South Rim, took a couple pictures, turned around and drove home. Had lunch in Flagstaff. Had lunch and a cup of coffee, and then came back. And then me and my brother-in-law went to a cigar bar and had a cigar. He was just in New York, and someone had given him. He got some cigars. We came back, so we went last night and late night to a cigar bar around the corner from my house and smoked a cigar and talked hockey and the wedding he went to and all sorts of shit. And that was it, man. Just fucking making music and doing shit.
Restoring cars, watching hockey.
Living my life, man. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. That's
awesome. Well, I was sad to see the Caps not do anything this year, but I'll take the one Stanley Cup we've been able to win.
Yeah. So. I'm a New York Rangers fan, so basically I used to not give a shit about Washington because you were never able to beat us, but now I don't like you anymore, so
it's okay. That's a lot of people. Exactly. You got to have rivalries, man. Otherwise, what's the point?
Dude, one night I was on tour, and I would wear a Sean Avery New York Rangers jersey, and I was going through Canada during the playoffs, and people were spitting on me.
Oh,
like hockey fans. They were. I mean, not in a shitty way, but like just giving me the finger and just like cursing at me and fucking and just going back and forth. And I'd be like, yeah, well, at least my team's in the fucking playoffs, you fucking losers. And it was just fucking. It was awesome, man. And one night we were playing in Philly, and Lee is a huge Flyers fan, so he was wearing a Flyers jersey and I was wearing a Rangers jersey, and I was just getting booed, and but like in the best of ways, man. It was like it was just such a fun experience. And then after the show, I walked through the crowd with my Rangers jersey on, and people were just like, "Fuck!" Like And then I remember reading a fucking article. Someone had sent me this article, and it was from like a Toronto newspaper, and it was a review of the show. And they're like, Exodus is a great fucking band, and like the singer had the fucking audacity to be wearing a fucking Rangers jersey in Toronto. And he goes, not even just a Rangers jersey, a fucking Sean Avery jersey. And it was like, God, how much of a dick could you be? And I was like, I remember loving that article. And I actually sent it to Sean, and he read it, and he was like, it's funny.
That's
right
awesome. That is awesome. Well, man,
Yeah.
I really appreciate these stories, man. That's what this show is all about. Just getting some great stories about recording and touring, and these are some of the best I've heard. So I really
thanks.
I really appreciate your time spending, a good chunk of your early morning with me, man. I really appreciate that.
Right on, man. Yeah.
And if is there social media accounts for you or any of the projects that you're working on that where people can follow you? And
Just Generation Kill. There's a couple different Instagram sites. There's a couple Twitters and a Facebook and all that shit. I don't really have much to do with any of that. That's somebody else's deal. And lately, I've been actually contemplating going back to a fucking flip phone. I really have, man. I'm so close to it.
I know the feeling, man.
If you want to see some of the cool cars I build, you can go to Doug's. It's DougsBnB.com, and it's or look up just Doug's Bugs and Bunnies.
Okay.
And basically, it's just cool car stuff that I'm a part of.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of cars. I used to restore them with my dad when I was growing up, and my son is an enormous Volkswagen fan. So it's
man.
Both be fun.
Yeah. We have a full retail store, a full custom shop. We repair and build anything Volkswagen related, man. Sandrails, dune buggies, all that shit, man. So we do all that. Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, well, I'll definitely be checking that out. I'll be pointing my son to it too. So
cool.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you spending so much time with me today, man.
Okay. Thanks, man. I appreciate the connection, man. It was nice talking to you finally.